Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Hollyoaks Unwrapped. And this week I'm joined by two of my favourite McQueens. Budge up, guys. Should we find out what's coming up?
Long time no see.
I think we actually kissed at one point, didn't we, Holly?
We did, and it was awful.
In real life?
We did.
That's an exclusive.
Everybody was kind of a part of the telling of that story, all the way through to Craig leaving.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollyoaks Unwrapped. I'm Kieron Richardson, and what a corker of a show we've got for you today, as I've worked very closely with both of my guests. Plus, we're going to take a deep dive into some very important topics. So let's get them on. My first guest, always a good actor, is the sweetheart of the village and the apple to Myra's eye. It's James Sutton, John Paul McQueen. And we have spoke a lot on this show about the McQueen, so it would be rude not to get on the OG herself. It's the icon, Hollie-Jay Bowes is here. It's Michaela McQueen. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Should we take a deep dive look into what happened on Hollyoaks this week? The McQueens held an intervention for Prince when they realised he'd been posting dangerous content online. Ant continued to act out, and Diane was worried about her son's aggressive behaviour. Donnie confessed to Dodger that he killed Griff, but then was confronted by Sully about what really happened to him that night. Steve was arrested for abusing Lucas and then lied to the police, which meant baby James was taken away. And then it was actually finally revealed who shot Tony, and no one was expecting this.
I really wish I hadn't. Why did I do it, Maureen?
It was you, wasn't it? You shot Tony.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Oh, so
we
it was
need to have a
Mercedes that
word?
shot Tony. Holly, do you know what's going on?
Absolutely not.
We've had the 30th anniversary. It was who shot Tony. So finally, we all know it was now your sister, Mercedes.
I feel like she's murdered a few people and she just got away with it.
She's got previous.
Oh, she got previous?
Mercedes has literally done everything now, I think.
As a
I
viewer,
feel
did you
like-
see that coming, or are you
As a cast member, I didn't see that coming. That's news to me.
Right, so please now, we need to go back.
I feel
You
like we
two,
need a
we've got
word.
two icons on the sofa back to 2006 when we all started together at the same time.
What year did you start?
2006.
Was it actually?
I think so, yeah.
And I was telling the audience on this show a couple of episodes back that when we first started, you weren't actually a McQueen, were you?
No, I was called Michaela Jones. And then it wasn't in the show for a couple of months. And then I got a script through my door which said Michaela McQueen. And I was really confused by it. So I rang my agent up and I was like, I think they've sent me somebody else's script. And I remember being really annoyed that they'd brought in another character called Michaela. And it was me.
Then how long after was it when James and the rest of the family arrived?
Did you come to that set day? But that big day when they did the big auditions? Yes.
You mean the workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I came for a huge workshop and there were, I don't know, maybe 20 Myras, 20 Carmels, 20 Mercedes,
Yeah.
Tina. And you were there,
I was
weren't you? So-
sat on stage with the producers.
That's right.
And the acting coach.
That's right.
Yes.
And was it always supposed to be, was it like 4 sisters and a brother, or were they trying to just work out, or maybe they're going to
it
be
was
all
all-
girls
it was-
and then...
It was always that. Because when I was pulled into the meeting with Brian Kirkwood, he was like, we're going to bring you in like an Irish Catholic religious family. They're going to be called the McQueens. There's going to be a matriarch of the family. You're going to have a gay brother. You're going to have a geeky sister. Then you're going to have I don't know what word I can use for Mercedes. And then you're going to have like a blonde sister as well. And you're going to be the youngest. I think he described me as the runt.
The runt of the litter. Thanks. Would you say, going back in, like, I was saying this to the girls when we had Gemma on, we had Nicole and we had Georgie on, and saying about how iconic and established that this family have become. And back in the day, soap was so huge in like the mid-noughties and stuff. And to be in this massive iconic family in this show, did you feel a pressure?
I did. But I think that's because I was the youngest.
What about you, James, from being like the only male in the family?
At the big audition that we all had that I mentioned before, I was quite quiet because I couldn't get a word in. And Brian spoke to me, after the event and said, I really like that you couldn't get a word in. I was like, I wasn't acting.
They're just really overpowering, guys.
Like I couldn't say a word. And he was like, yeah, keep that. And I was like, all right, fine.
Keep that.
Did you ever, obviously as a family, you were together for 12 hours a day on set. Was there ever a time like outside where you go for family meals together or sleep over at people's houses?
Yeah, there was some meals. There was definitely some meals.
I moved into his for a little bit when I did a play in Liverpool, but that was like after I'd finished here. You lived with Claire for a little bit.
I lived with
didn't
Claire, who played
Yeah.
Jackie for a little while.
Yeah.
I was the flatmate from Hell.
Were you?
Yeah.
Just messy or...
Oh, you were a great little landlord for a few weeks. actually.
It was great. You know, it's a period of time that I think we all look back on with huge affection because...
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, as you, to reference what you said before, you know, Soapland was huge back then.
Do you remember some of the shenanigans we got up to back in the day?
Oh, we were, yeah, me and you hung out quite a lot, didn't we, when we were
I
younger?
pretended you... Was it... What was the gay man when I
A beard.
didn't want to
I was
get a
your
bit...
beard.
You was my beard for
I was
a
your
little
beard
bit.
for years
Yeah.
before you came out.
I think we actually kissed at one point, didn't we, Holly?
We did, and it was all for the
In
cameras.
real life?
We did.
That's an exclusive.
There was definitely a pat picture of that as well.
I do remember. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
no.
we've kissed. We have.
Awful.
Who
Bad
haven't you
time.
kissed? I mean, goodness
And
me.
let's go back for pre-Hollyoaks as well. You was another show that Sir Phil Redmond was over was Grange Hill, which was also shot in the same building as Hollyoaks and where Brookside is from. Do you remember the Grange Hill times?
Yeah, I remember even how I got the part of Michaela, which I thought was quite funny. I was walking down the corridor with my hair in pigtails. I played a character called Dawn, and the casting director was staring at me, and I was like, why is she looking at me like that? I was like, what? She went, nothing. And then I got a phone call off my agent saying, you've got an audition tomorrow. You're going for the part of a girl called Amy or a girl called Michaela. And I was like, oh, okay, like, amazing. So I went and I turned up and they said, you've got to wear your hair in pigtails and you have to wear a school uniform. But in my head, I was 16, thought I knew everything. I was like, I'm not going to get a part of a 14-year-old. That was so silly. And I went and I got there and I read for both parts with Ashley Selena Davis, who played Amy.
R.I.P. Amy Barnes.
I know, we love her. And and then they kind of cast us the next day as Michaela.
So what about Grange Hill? Were they like, yeah, sorry guys, I'm going next door now to Hollyoaks?
I weirdly, it was like I had a month in between the two, weirdly. It just works.
And then
yeah.
James, for you, one of your most iconic, well, you've had loads of memorable storylines, but everybody still today,
Craig
I presume,
and John Paul.
Craig and John Paul, the McDean relationship. When you first started the show, did you know you were coming in for that storyline?
No. I had a conversation probably about 6 months into it, I think, where Brian sat me down and I could tell it was important because of the sort of magnitude of the way that he was speaking. He was very
With gravitas.
He was very professional. Yeah. He was like, oh God, this is going to be huge, and it was a wonderful time. It was a great storyline. It was, you know, there was a real kind of team effort. It wasn't I just play John Paul, but there was a huge ensemble. There was a huge ripple around the village. You know, there was the Ashworths and Barnes family, and you know, everybody was kind of a part of the telling of that story. You know, John Paul getting beaten up and the homophobia, all the way through to Craig leaving. Yeah. There was a huge there was a huge ensemble side to it that made it feel like everybody had ownership over it. It wasn't
The
just
writer of that episode, Darren Little, who writes for EastEnders, used to write for Corrie, used to write for Here. He put a post on Instagram the other day actually saying his favourite episode he's ever wrote is your episode for the John Paul and Craig reveal to the audience.
Oh, it's nice to hear.
Does it ever get frustrating for you? Because I know I have it when you're in a relationship with somebody, and I had the Brendan one and you had the Craig one. If like even yesterday, people are still like, "When's Brendan coming back?" I'm guessing that they say that all the time to you about Craig.
Yeah, a little bit.
What do you say? I'm like, it's busy at the minute.
Yeah, basically that.
It's now time for Anna's Intelligence, where I get Anna Passey to get a phone book out and get me some dirt on one of my guests. And this week, the tag is on James Sutton.
Oh no.
Should we find out what it is?
Do we have to?
Here we go, guys.
Mr. James Sutton. It's your old pal, Mr. Finnegan here. We have been on an accidental trip to Benidorm, none of which I could tell any stories about right here. We have been down to the West Country for New Year's and had a wonderful time there. And of course, we had a memorable day trip down to Swindon when I needed to collect my new car. Again, all these stories ended up in places that I can't possibly go into now. And somewhere, at some point, James and John Paul be together once again.
James and John Paul? I thought he's coming back for me. Anyway, should we find out what's coming up in part 2?
I was diagnosed at 32 and 33 with autism and ADHD, which is something I've struggled with all my life, but didn't know why I struggled.
What we need to do as a society is redefine what masculinity actually looks like.
Right then, as we head for a break, I'm going to leave you with a quick teaser question. What did Myra McQueen name her pet sheep? Was it shepherd's pie, lamb chop, mincemeat, or lamb kebab? Find out after this. Hello and welcome back to Hollyoaks Unwrapped. I'm Kieron Richardson and I'm still joined by James Sutton and Hollie-Jay Bowes. And before the break, I asked you this teaser question. What did Myra McQueen name her pet sheep? Was it shepherd's pie, lamb chop, mincemeat, or lamb kebab? Guys?
Lamb chop.
Lamb chop.
It was lamb chop. So I wanted to move on now to talk about something that's happened on the episodes this week and where we focused on male mental health and the toxicity, the violence and the hate that is available for young men to view online. James, I know that you're passionate about this. I wanted to go to you first. Why is it important that Hollyoaks needs to tell stories like this?
Well, it's a reflection on society. It's a reflection on what young men are going through. There's a lot of issues at play that lead young men to sort of fall down these toxic rabbit holes online. There's reasons why men's mental health is suffering. The male suicide rate is through the roof. 1 man a minute kills themselves. A lot of that's social economic. People don't feel like they have any future. They feel frustrated. They don't feel like they have the opportunities that perhaps their parents did and previous generations. But also our habits have changed. We consume so much media online. We consume constant, this barrage of TikToks and Instagram and all of that. And for people of our age, older generations, it's a little bit easier for us to park that. If you're a 15, 16-year-old boy and you're being bombarded with this stuff and the algorithms are so strong that if you look at one far right, video that's toxic and in the manosphere,
It'll bring another 10
It'll
on.
bring another one. And before you know it, your whole feed has been curated for you.
You can't escape it, then you can't get away from it.
You can't escape it. And I go back to what I said before, these are young boys that perhaps don't see a way out. They don't see a future. They're struggling. We all have these voices in our head. We all have our inner dialogue, right? And sometimes our inner dialogue can be quite unkind. It can tell us that we're not valuable or that we're not important or that nobody cares. And for me, as someone who's struggled with his mental health in the past, talking was such a huge thing for me. To go to a therapist and explain all of this and say, this is how I'm feeling. I just want to check I'm not going completely insane. But for a lot of our young boys and girls, but especially young men, they don't feel like they have that outlet. They don't feel like they have that voice. They don't feel like they have that platform and that availability of somebody to say, are you okay?
My question is though, what is the turning point of what makes somebody want to talk? Is it by watching another video which we're saying is wrong, or is it by watching our TV show, for instance, where it might be highlighted? What was your point when you said you were struggling with it, where you're like, right, I have to talk to somebody now, whether that is...
It's usually rock bottom, isn't it?
Well,
but that's where the narrative, I think, needs to change.
Well, that's exactly it. It's the narrative. We as a channel, we as a show, as a production, and also we as a society have to do everything we can to encourage young people to speak. Don't keep it inside. Don't struggle alone, because there's a beautiful symbiotic thing that happens is that if you speak to someone and say, I'm really struggling, this is what I'm going through, not only are you relieving that pressure from your own shoulders, but you're also giving them the reason to do the same. You're saying it's okay for you to do the same.
Safe space.
It's exactly. So we create this society where everybody feels like they have a voice, and if they are struggling, to reach out. If they are worried about things, to speak to somebody. I mean, it's difficult at the moment in this climate to get therapists, but if you have the opportunity to speak to a professional, unbelievable.
And going back to Hollyoaks and the toxicity from the episodes this week about the online stuff there, we've seen that Prince has been using his social media platforms in a dangerous way. He's pushing the hateful comments and the messages to get more likes and more interaction. So are we saying he doesn't necessarily have those views? He's just doing it to gain traction online. Would you say that happens quite a lot?
Yeah, 100%. Well, you know, young men see there's a subculture of very violent, very misogynistic, very unkind men out there who are promoting this type of lifestyle, who are saying if you are misogynistic, if you are fully focused on getting a nice car and you want the muscles and you want the women and all
high value men.
High value men, this is what they talk about. What we need to do as a society is redefine what masculinity actually looks like. We need to look at things like patience and tolerance and kindness. And, you know, if you want to talk about being a leader as a man, what does that actually look like? Well, it's bringing people together. It's a sense of community. It's not putting yourself above other people and saying, you know, look at all the wealth I've got, look at all the nice things I've got. It's bringing people together. It's lifting them up. That's what a leader looks like. So we have to kind of redefine what masculinity looks like and promote a really positive form of masculinity. That seems to be the antidote, for me at least.
And we can use our social media platforms in the correct way. I know, Holly, obviously I follow you, and lots of your posts as well, which has only been recently discovered for you, is your neurological differences.
Yes.
And you promote that now online. Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was diagnosed at 32 and 33 with autism and ADHD, which is something I've struggled with all my life, but didn't know why I struggled. But I would say, like, to you guys who've worked with me since we were younger, when you look back on it now, was it fairly obvious that I was autistic ADHD?
When you say it now, but back in the day, we're so aware of it now, and people didn't really speak about it that much, even like ADHD and things. And now it's on loads of programs, and lots of people I know are recently getting diagnosed. But now, when you speak about it, when you do look back in the day, you did a post the other day about how you would react to people in the public when you're out on the street. It would sometimes freak you out a little bit because you didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh, maybe that was a reason why. There was a post that you put on the other day.
Yeah, on TikTok. But it's so funny because I remember ringing up Nicole Barber-Lane about it, and I was like, I've just been diagnosed with ADHD. She went, I always knew there was something. We all knew there was something. And I was like, that's what people always say.
Did you feel relieved when you were
Oh my
diagnosed?
God, it's changed my life completely.
Did it make sense of everything?
Absolutely everything. I kind of took myself back to basics and was like, right, what do I usually do every single week? And it was almost like I had to relearn myself. So little things like going out and drinking on a Friday and Saturday, that's what I did for fun because everyone told me that that's what I was supposed to do for fun. And then I've got myself to a point where I was like, right, okay, if I need to get really, really drunk, am I actually enjoying this or am I doing this to be social? And it turns out that I actually just love being at home with my dogs and love going out to coffee shops during the day. And it's like, I know it sounds like really, really basic and really boring, but that is actually fundamentally who I am.
And you did your whole Hollyoaks career undiagnosed, you didn't know.
Not having a clue.
And you've recently just done Waterloo Road, where you've had your diagnosis, you know that's now always been a part of you, but now you understand it.
Yeah.
Do you think there's been your working life here has been completely different than it was on Waterloo Road, knowing that?
Hugely different. Like, you've got to remember when I was playing Michaela, I obviously had like, I didn't want to listen to anybody because the ADHD side was completely taking over. My friend always says I've got it. Pathological demand avoidance. Have you heard of that? So it's where if you said to me, wear a green top, I'd be like, I can't do that because you just told me to.
It strikes me that it's not guilt, but we as your on-screen family, I wish we'd have all known then.
I wish I'd have known.
Because we probably weren't as patient with you and as understanding as we would be if you'd have said, guys, I've got this diagnosis.
Well, I think,
and that's really hard.
I think because I didn't have that, and also you've got to kind of remember, Michaela was always the funny one. She was the one that wore clothes that didn't fit, and I wore a wig. I wore a wig for 3 years, that blonde wig, and I sit and think about it now, and I'm like, if you remember rightly, when I was younger, and I'm totally okay talking about this now, but like the makeup chair used to be like the scariest place for me. And sorry, I know that sounds really weird to kind of get upset over, but the stimulation of the feeling of like everybody touching me, I used to feel like that. And now I've got to a point where I'm like, okay, I can just present this and I can go, just so you know, I'm neurodivergent. I sometimes get a bit stressed if things run too tight or if I'm being like touched or anything, and now there's like different things in place.
there's a lot more understanding of it.
Oh God, 100%. And it was nobody's fault.
And as much as we've been talking about the bad stuff online and having these phones in our hands and all this negative stuff, doing shows like this and people can watch it on YouTube or stream it wherever, they're going to hear you talking like this, that there's good things about social media, and, you know, it's highlighting stuff that we weren't aware of.
Oh, absolutely. Like when I turned up to go and get my autism and ADHD diagnosis to prove I wasn't either of those things. And they were like, you are with bells on. I was like, oh, great.
We're just going to switch gears a little bit now. James, the most amazing storyline that you ever did was the male rape, just to prove to the audience at home that we don't just come in and do a storyline and forget about it and move on to the next one. It's something that you've lived with this whole time that you've done that storyline and been so passionate about, and still stayed with the charity after that. Can we talk a little bit about it, please?
Yeah, I'd be delighted to. What Duncan has done is give those men a voice and a platform and support and care and
changing
love.
The narrative.
And he has, We Are Survivors in Manchester. There's drop-in stuff there. Men go there and just hang out and have a cup of tea and play PlayStation and talk and be part of a community of men that understand. And there's a lot of therapy that goes on in trying to help these guys come to terms with what they've been through.
Because we had the Gary Lucy one many years ago, and then your one, which was massively viewed.
Yeah, nowadays, the Ministry of Justice worked with We Are Survivors, and for the first time gave funding to help support male victims of sexual violence. So immediately that says that government institutions and the law of the land now understand and validate those poor men. So straight away, things have improved. And, you know, we've got a long way to go. It leads back into what we were saying before about men struggling to speak up and not feeling like they're going to get listened to, and feeling ashamed and feeling embarrassed, and man up, and, you know, all of that kind of masculine stuff. But it is changing. Duncan and We Are Survivors are incredible. They've worked with the show, as you said, with my storyline. They're now working with Danny Mack's storyline with Dodger, and it'll be great. This is when I think Hollyoaks is at its absolute best. We all love the silly storylines, and we love all that. Of course we do. But the responsibility that this production and the channel take when we're dealing with the issue-based things, I think is where Hollyoaks really, really shines, and I think it's always been that way.
They've always been the first to deliver certain storylines. Yeah.
I want to kind of try and find, and maybe this might be your answer, James, but the proudest moment of being in Hollyoaks, whether it is the storyline or just a moment from being in the show.
Goodness me. There's a lot to look back on. I've been here a long time.
But maybe it's that. Maybe it's the change that your character has made, and from everything you've done with We Are Survivors.
I think the pride that I feel is knowing that in some small way I've made a difference through just being a vessel for other people's words, you know, and trying to find some authenticity and some truth in what I'm doing and what I'm saying. That's what I feel proudest of. You know, the letters that I get from men.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Who came out because of my storyline. You know, they watched John Paul and Craig with their grandmother when they were 14, 15. And it was the first time that they thought, I think I might be John Paul. And there was
a lot of that.
And there was nothing else at 6:30 on any channel that was showing that. So that direct impact of something that I was a small part of, I think is
I can't even tell you, when I go out in the village, how many people come up to me and talk about you.
In the gay village?
Is all the time.
the gay village.
As Queen
Not
of the
Hollyoaks
Gay,
village.
they're obsessed with you, and they still talk about it. Even when, like, I'd not seen you for years, it was still always you that they wanted to talk
I'm
about.
so sorry.
And Holly, as I've got you here, I have to ask you, because the audience will be desperate for me to ask this question. Could there ever be a return on the cards for Michaela?
I just think she's having a lovely time in Alicante. She's in Spain. We're unsure how many kids do you reckon she's got? Maybe she didn't have kids, actually.
Okay, so a nondescript answer there. Right, it's now time for Passey Pesters the Producers. You'll like this one. Basically, I send Anna Passey around this building to get me some goss about a future storyline. Shall we find out what this week's is?
Okay, so this is Hollyoaks makeup room. This is definitely where all the goss happens, and I'm going to go and pester one of the lovely makeup artists. I've heard she might have a clue for us. Come on in. Hey, Meg.
Oh, hi there.
You okay?
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah. I've heard you've got a clue for me.
Yeah, I think I can help.
Okay, great. This is the makeup room. Favourite place in the building. Hey, Princess. Come on through. We're on a top secret mission, sorry. Okay, we're going to go into the wig store. This is really, really exciting.
I'm sorry, they can't come in here. It's private.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. Luckily, I've got my spy glasses. She won't suspect a thing. Just look, I'm being really serious. Wow, this is so great in here.
This is all the wigs.
Hey,
All the stuff.
whose is this?
Right, I've got Goldie. These are the fun ones.
Goldies, yeah. Wow, that must take so long to make.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Oh, it feels great.
I know. And this one's Claire's for the 30th. It's still got blood in it.
That's amazing. The real Claire Devine stunt wig.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Grace Black.
Of course. How could you not know that?
Her Majesty's hair. Okay, lovely.
So, this is your clue.
That's the clue. Wow.
Yeah. No, sorry. It's very expensive. We don't touch them.
Okay, got you. Okay, so that's the clue. How exciting. So, a judge's wig. Any ideas, Kieron? Right, we'll get out of here.
All right, see you later.
Thank you so much, Meg. That was lovely. Really fun. Really interesting. Shouldn't suspect a thing.
Oh, right. So let's recap the clues so far. So someone's life is going to be forever changed at Christmas. It's going to be in the box set. 4 families, same 24 hours over 4 days. The script from the episode before the time jump. You haven't got a clue what I'm going on about.
I haven't got a clue what you're going on
A
about.
screenshot of Cleo and Sienna hugging after they were reunited when she got out of the boat. Then there's a riddle. The Titanic is to famous ships as blank is to Hollyoaks ships. McDean is Craig coming back. The latest clue was a drawing of T-Rex crying, and a character who is left-handed. And now today's in makeup, suggesting someone's wearing a judge's wig.
What's he talking about?
I only understand about 3
What's
words that
happening?
you just said. So there's a, hang on, the only bit I did get was there's a T-Rex reference. So we've got a character called Rex.
Yes.
So I'm assuming Rex is involved.
Is he
And then the
good-looking one
judge's
that
wig,
you're
I'm
with?
thinking
Or is
is
it just someone with
James's
little
character.
arms?
Greg Finnegan's character, James, is a judge, a lawyer, but
He judges people.
Absolutely no idea.
judges. Anyway, you guys at home, keep the conversation going. Right, should we have some fan questions? Yay! You can both answer this one. Right, any similarities between yourselves and your character?
Loads.
Go on.
I'm so like Michaela and every level. Well, looking back at a few episodes that I saw on TikTok, I was like, she was neurodivergent.
James?
She was.
We're both very handsome. I'll
You
say
are
that.
both very handsome.
Has being in Hollyoaks changed you as a person or your perspective on acting?
It was my university. I'll always say that.
Yeah.
I was a kid when I was here.
James?
You're relying a lot on your instincts, so it requires you to be quite in touch emotionally and physically with yourself, I think, and try and draw on everything that you can. And yeah, it's a fascinating thing working in the soap. I'd recommend it to any young actor. Do a couple of years
It's a
in soap.
learning. It's definitely a learning.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
What piece of advice would you give your character?
Shut up.
And what would you tell John Paul?
We don't take yourself too seriously.
And then finally, when I had your family members on, I had Gemma Myrna, Nicole, Georgie, the lot. We played a little game and we're going to play it right now. And the game is called How McQueen Are You? Basically, you're going to have to tell me how McQueen you are. Nicole won the last one. Basically, Georgie said that herself and Nicole went to a restaurant and they tried to blag the food for free. And they got it for free, which is very McQueen. So what have you done in your life that's McQueen?
I don't think I can say.
Just go and get it all out, Holly.
Oh,
Tell
absolutely
us.
not. No.
Come on, Hol.
I'll be banned from IKEA.
Okay.
What have you stolen from IKEA?
Pair of curtains.
A pair she stole a pair of curtains from IKEA, not even a meatball.
No, but it wasn't on purpose.
It was by accident. Well, that's very McQueen.
Because I got back and was like, oh, something wasn't working. So I went to check the receipt and I was like, why
I've got more than I should
why
have
are the
here.
curtains not on here?
I would say probably my relationship history is probably as awful as any McQueen going. I'm
ever be.
42. I'm single and I live alone with a cat. In case anyone was wondering quite how well my love life's gone.
now?
I'm 42, yeah, and I live alone with a cat. Right.
Oh, God.
Form an orderly queue.
Well, I'm going to say that from stealing curtains, the How McQueen Are You sash goes to Hollie-Jay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take that.
Oh, don't you look fantastic? Right then, should we have a sneak peek at what's coming up on Hollyoaks next week?
I know what you're thinking. That's a pathetic amount.
I'm thinking no such thing.
Well, even though it's not even enough for one feed.
Cleo, don't worry. This happens to loads of new mums.
But it never happened to you, though, with the twins, did it? It's perfect.
Hey.
I just feel like I'm not very good at this. Keep failing at every single turn.
You're not failing at anything.
Can you make yourself useful and put this in the fridge for me, please? Roger, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You okay?
No, not really.
What's wrong?
I'm at the hospital. Can you come over?
I'm about to go to a meeting at work. I'm sorry. I'll speak later, though, yeah?
Oh, so Cleo is obviously struggling there, so make sure you tune into that next week, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday
Sort of dead sad.
on E4, or you can stream every single morning. Right, a big thank you to my guests. Very important conversations today, so give it up for James Sutton. And thank you so much for coming back, Hollie-Jay Bowes. We're going to be back next week, but to keep up to date with Hollyoaks, head over to their social media channels. And for any help, support, or advice on anything we spoke about, go to channel4.com/support-Hollyoaks. We're going to be back next week, 7:30 p.m. on YouTube and Spotify. Just search Hollyoaks Unwrapped. Ta-ra!